Okay, as you can see, I've pushed my design out a little bit further here. I've applied that secondary font, which was the Garamond Premier. I applied that to the main menu here, as you can see, and I've started throwing in some colors as well. There's that base red. I created a rectangle behind the logo and behind the main menu bar there, and set that base color red, and then of course the rectangle there itself for the menu I filled with solid black. So again, sort of this bold looking sort of color combination that's happening here. Very dark, very bold colors. I'm just going to turn off my guides for a second here. What I thought would be very cool here to show you as well is how to create sort of a splatter brush effect, if you will. Again, the look of my website, I'm going for sort of a traditional, sort of Asian, Oriental kind of look for the website. So I thought it'd be cool to have some splattered brush effects. And I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to achieve this, how I'm going to pull it off. So give me a second here. I'm just going to hit the Tab key on my keyboard to bring my panels back to life. A quick side note, I finally had to cave in and start using my docked panels over on the right-hand side because I'm just starting to use too many panels and my screen is starting to get cluttered up. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is I think I'll create this sort of over in this center area here, this brush effect, and then we'll move that effect behind our website logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by grabbing the pen tool inside the toolbox there. Go ahead and grab that guy. And let's see, as far as the fill and stroke are concerned, I want no fill and a white stroke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the D key on my keyboard, something like that. And then check this out. I'm going to hit Shift X. And what that does is that inverts the fill and the stroke, flips the two, right? And then I'll hit the X key on my keyboard to bring my fill swatch into focus, into the foreground. And then I'll hit my / key on my keyboard to set the fill to nothing, to none, right? So there's a whole pile of cool keyboard shortcuts there for you. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create sort of a curved line here. The pen tool, I don't know if you use the pen tool a lot or not. Not too many people like it. It takes quite a bit of getting used to here. But what I'm going to do is essentially click and drag out something like that with this fella, about there somewhere. And then over this way-ish, I'm going to go ahead and click and drag sort of up and to the right, something like that, to create sort of this lovely sort of curve there. And all of this is completely editable, so at any time I can go and make some changes here. Okay, very lovely. I'm going to head back over to the black arrow tool there. And let's see, I'm just going to reselect this guy just to keep things nice and clear. Now I want to apply an Illustrator brush effect to this fella. So I'm going to do that through the brushes panel. So I'm going to head to the window menu. Actually, there's a couple of different ways to do this, but let's go to the window menu and then down to brushes. There's our brushes panel. And I'm just going to move this guy out of the way for a second. And then way down in his bottom left corner, brush libraries menu, go ahead and click on that guy and then go down to artistic and then over to artistic paintbrush, and we will get a second set of brushes to use. Okay, there's all kinds of cool brushes here in Illustrator. Again, I apologize, I'm keeping it kind of down and dirty, short and sweet here, but the brush that we want to use here is, well, the one that I used anyway in the original layout is this guy right here, dry brush number 6. So you might have to scroll down a little bit, look for this guy, dry brush number 6. I did some experimenting too, by the way. I fiddled around a little bit until I found a brush that I wanted to use that sort of fit my design. So you might want to fiddle a little bit here. Okay, very lovely. Go ahead and close out of these two panels. We're done with them for now. Now, let's see. I'm going to head over to the stroke panel over on the right-hand side, and I'm going to crank up the stroke weight. I'm going to bring that all the way up to about 4 point, maybe 3 or 4 points, something like that. And what you can now do, by the way, with your black arrow tool is you could stretch this guy out nice and wide like that, or you could scrunch him in, or you could make him a little bit thicker by dragging on the top and bottom. Really, whatever you want. You could rotate him. You could really have some fun with this guy. So I'm not really quite sure exactly what I want, but I think it's about something like that, right? Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this fill color from pure white to 10% black. So he's just going to be just a touch gray. So to do that, I'm going to head into the color palette there on the right-hand side, make sure that the stroke swatch is in focus. You can just click on them, or you can hit the X key on your keyboard. And I'm simply going to set my K slider to 10. Very lovely. Okay, last but not least, what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to my transparency panel, again over on the right-hand side. If you're having trouble finding any of these panels, don't forget to head to your window menu and look for them there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop this guy's opacity way down to maybe somewhere between 10 and 15%, somewhere in there. Again, I'm really not 100% sure, but something like that, right? That's what I'm after. Okay, great. Now that we have that stroke effect created, I essentially want to take it and position it behind our website logo, right? So if I move them over top like I just did, now the brush effect is sitting on top of the logo, which I don't know, maybe that's an effect that you're after, but not in my case anyway. So a little bit of fiddling here. I'm going to select the logo itself if I can grab it. There we go. Go ahead and grab that guy. And then what I'll do is I'll head to Object and then down to Arrange and then Bring to Front. And then the other thing that I'll do is I want to lock this guy down as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. Let's use our keyboard shortcuts, Control or Command 2 to lock that guy down. So now I can't select the logo, right? Which is what we want because we want that brush stroke effect in the background. That's the object that we're after. So oftentimes when I'm trying to grab objects that are behind other objects, I'll start locking stuff just to be able to grab it. And now I'm just using my arrow keys just to position this guy up. Again, I'm not 100% sure what I want, but I can certainly sit here and fiddle for a few minutes until I get exactly the brush effect that I'm after. Maybe something like that. Again, I'm really not quite sure, but maybe I'll spend a few minutes on my own fiddling around with that. But there you go. There's how to create a very cool, again, sort of Asian-inspired brush effect for our web layout.